Hey there, Hofstra fans, and welcome to this week's edition of the W.B. Mason Coaches Report. I'm Jackie Parsons, joined by head coach of the Hofstra softball team, Larissa Anderson. Coach, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you, Jackie.
And of course, congratulations are in order because now you're head coach of the CAA champion Hofstra softball team. So, Coach, you've had a few days to reflect on it. What were the biggest moments for you this past weekend in JMU?
Seeing the celebration of the team on the field. I mean, that is such a tremendous privilege that I had to be able to watch them celebrate, have Morgan, strike out that last batter. And just seeing the team truly enjoy and celebrate on the field is something that I'll never forget.
Now, the first game you faced Elon, a team that you had previously lost to in the season, only one game though. You win 10-0 over them, but you had a 3-hour rain delay. You still choose to go with Perone pitching, who started that game. What was the mentality behind keeping her in the game?
Her pitch count was low. She was very low. She had only thrown 29 pitches up to that point during the lightning delay. So I knew that she'd be able to warm back up. It wasn't a matter of that she was completely fatigued out. And I trust Morgan completely, but I wanted to see Perone because I knew we were hitting so well that I just wanted to keep her in so that then it would take a lot less pressure off of Taylor.
And the long ball was a huge story in this game as well. Corinne Bailey, Kim Smith, and Lacey Clark all notching home runs. Corinne Bailey with 2 of them. Has it been exciting to see the long ball in this series, not just in the regular season?
Absolutely. And it's an added bonus because obviously you get that one run in one swing. But it's seeing them create great counts to put them in the situation to hit those balls hard. And they've really come through clutch. Corinne had an unbelievable tournament in what she was able to produce. And it was just her composure that gave her that opportunity.
Now you go into the second day, you get the win over James Madison University 5-3, and a lot of it came in the late innings. And late innings were something during the regular season that your team struggled a little bit with. Do you think those woes are behind you now?
I hope so. It's one of those things that we continue, every day we got to get better. And yeah, we were losing a lot of games late because we weren't making the adjustments we needed to. Our pitching wasn't finding another level. Our hitters weren't making an adjustment the third time through the lineup. So we spent a lot of time talking about it, working on it, figuring out what adjustments can we make so we have better at-bats, and we proved that we were able to do so.
And the last series in the top of the 7th inning where you got those 3 runs that were necessary to win the game, you have Brielle Petrofessa get on due to an error. You have Chloe Fitzgerald leg out an infield single, and then Corinne Bailey with the home run. Does that kind of exemplify the grit that you've seen from your team all season?
Absolutely, and that's the perfect word because we talk about that all the time with the team, that there's no clock on our game. They're not running the clock out, killing time. If we still have 1 out, we still have an opportunity to win, and it's something that the team truly believes. And getting someone on base in those situations, all I want the team to do is to get the tying run up to bat. If we get the tying run up to bat, we still have a shot to win the ball game.
And then you go to the last day of the tournament. It ends up having to be a doubleheader because you lose to James Madison in the first game. And the main story there was Morgan Lashley, the first 3 batters she faces, 2 home runs, and then a hit by pitch for her. What did you see from her in those first few at-bats?
What happened is that with it being a TV game, the timing of her warm-up was a little bit off. And she went out, we had the national anthem, she went out on the field, and then the TV wasn't ready to broadcast. So she sat out there for a little while before she threw her first pitch, which took her out of her routine mentally and then also physically. With Prince hitting that first home run, it completely threw her out of rhythm. And she wasn't able to respond as fast as she needed to against such a high caliber team like James Madison. So, which is why I pulled her right away and put Taylor in just so Morgan can settle down a little bit because it's pretty emotional, being put in that situation. Taylor did an unbelievable job, kept us in the ball game. We had an opportunity to win in the 7th inning. And I knew Morgan had the ability to compete and do what we needed her to do.
And then you go to the second game of the doubleheader, Game 7 in the CAA tournament, and your team ends up getting the win. You went with Taylor over Lashley to get that start. What was the mentality behind that as well?
Because Taylor's pitch count that first game was still low. So I knew that she would continue to be able to throw, and I just said to her before that second game, Game 7, go as long as you can. Go as long as you can, give me as much as you can, and then when you don't have any more, I'll come and get you. And she did exactly that. She kept the ball low. She worked very hard, made great pitches. They were not hitting the ball hard off of her. And then when I went out and talked to her in the situation where she did give up that base hit to right field on a changeup that was a little up in the zone, We had first and second with 2 outs, and went and talked to her a little bit, and then it was just one of those things where, let's make a change. Let's change things up here a little bit, and I knew Morgan would be great.
And as you say, Morgan Lashley, her performance, 2 1/3 innings. She strikes out 5 of the 7 batters to kind of rebound from that first game. Was it more so that her timing was down, she had the warm-up down, and her routine was more set?
Absolutely, because she was in her routine, and she knew throughout the whole game. I just kept saying, stay game ready, stay game ready. We're going to be going to you here soon. So obviously she's pumped up. There's a lot of adrenaline going, and then especially in that situation where she really came through and elevated her game to another level.
And then Lacey Clark notches the 2 RBIs in that game, and they get the 2-1 win. She wasn't exactly quiet during the tournament, but all season long she's kind of been this contributor in games where it seems as if other people are getting the spotlight. How solid has she been for you all season long?
Consistent, very, very consistent. And I know I'm always going to get a consistent play out of Lacey Clark, and she'll run into one every now and then. The whole team worked very hard in getting quality at bats. Jalen Ford threw unbelievable against us in that semifinal game. Unbelievable movement. And we had to make some adjustments because we haven't seen that type of movement lately since we played them the first time around. So we had to make some adjustments in our batting practice, and they continue to compete. And that's all you ask, have quality at bats, compete, get a good pitch to hit, and every once in a while you're going to put the bat on the ball and put it in play and hit it hard.
And there was great play, but also a few errors in the field from the Hofstra Pride. Is that more due so they haven't played on that field all season long, or was it just a little bit of jitters from the tournament?
It was a little bit of trying to do too much, not letting the game come to you. And I think it only really happened in that semifinal game against James Madison, where they just were a little anxious, pressing a little bit too much. And then when we played Game 6, and it was right before the 6th inning, I brought the team in and I explained to them, you can't go out and play to win the conference championship. You got to go out and play to win that pitch. And you win 1 pitch at a time, and if you work hard to win 1 pitch at a time, at the end of the game, you're going to look up and the scoreboard's going to be in your favor. But you can't play 7 innings every single pitch trying to win a conference championship, because then you get caught up in the moment. And that's what we were doing in Game 7, or Game 6. Game 7, they were so loose and carefree and just a ball full of energy and really had a good time playing out there.
Now, of course, the CAA championship win, you get an automatic berth into the NCAA tournament. The program's 16th berth into the tournament. You pull a pretty hard regional in the Gainesville regional. You have Florida, Florida A&M, and Florida Atlantic. Florida being the top seed in the country right now. What are some of your feelings behind seeing that top team so early in the regionals?
We have a motto within the program: the game doesn't know. The game does not know who we're playing. The game does not care it's the #1 seed. We don't care what the jersey says across the chest. We go out and we play Hofstra softball, and the game doesn't care. The ground ball doesn't care who the ground ball is against. So we just have to make sure we do what we need to do, stay in the moment, play 1 pitch at a time, because a ground ball at Hofstra on Pride Rock is the same as a ground ball in Gainesville. So we just have to make sure that we take care of what we can do.
So first you'll go up against Florida Atlantic, a team you actually played this season twice earlier in non-conference play. You had a loss to them 3-2, and then a tie with them, your only tie in the season, 5-5 in 11 innings. Does that kind of comfort you a little bit going into this regional that you face this team already?
It gives us some familiarity because we know the type of team that they are. We know their pitching. We know how aggressive they are on the bases, what they have in their lineup. So it prepares us to know what we get rather than an opponent that we've never ever seen. And at the same time, we know how well we have to play in order to beat them.
And finally, Coach, what does the Pride need to do to go further in the regionals and get the win against Florida Atlantic?
We have to stay in the moment. We have to play 1 pitch at a time, which we always have to do. We have to swing good pitches, not chase balls out of the zone. That's the whole key. We can't chase balls out of the zone. We have to control the strike zone. We have to play great fundamental defense, and we have to put the ball in play.
Head coach of the Hofstra softball team, Larissa Anderson. Coach, thanks for the time.
Thanks, Jackie.
And you can tune into the WB Mason Coaches Report each week on GoHofstra.com.